I'm excited to be meeting you. Actually, are
Hey,
you Dame Taft?
me too. No, I'm Screww, her nephew.
Welcome to the Dame Taft Movie Show.
You're watching the Dame Taft Movie Show. Congratulations, winner.
Hey, it's Carl from Worthy's Podcasts, and I am so excited. I just got to do an entire episode with Screww on the Dame Taft Movie Show.
It's the Dame Taft Movie Show, hosted by my nephew, Screww.
Thank you, Auntie. Yes, Dame Taft Movie Show, and we are joined by a very, very special guest. Look at here. It's Pat Dixon. Pat.
Hi, Screw.
Yes, sir. NYC Crime Report. Is that the correct title of the show? NYC Crime Report?
Censored.tv, Compound Censored.
Censored.tv. Yeah. I remember when you first joined Compound Network. What was that, 10 years ago? You were only about this high.
Yeah, I know. It was still growing, man. It does seem like a long time ago. Yeah.
It had such a look of youthful wonderment, you know. There's nothing we couldn't do back then.
It's true.
You are a seasoned comedian and podcaster, and we are very happy to have you here. I don't know if you remember, but we actually met in Las Vegas at Hackmania 3. I regret that I didn't get a photo of you, but like everyone else there, I was starstruck by former Dame Taft Movie Show guest Husey, who is a average-sized drink of water, that one. He's a bit of all right.
Yeah, Husey's great. He's really got a much better sense of humor than his jokes would indicate.
Oh, yeah, he's got a very good sense of humor. Reminds me of me. Now, Pat, like most of our splendid, educated, erudite guests on this show, we're acquainted, but I don't always have a full understanding of what kind of movies you like to talk about. But we'll get to the bottom of that during the course of our conversation here. Do I understand correctly? Do you live in Tennessee, if it's okay to say that?
Sure, Chattanooga. Downtown. I'm right by the choo-choo.
I've been through there recently. Okay, let's start with a Tennessee movie, and we'll get this conversation going.
Exciting.
Audiences across America are standing up, applauding, and cheering a film called Walking Tall.
I thought you walked tall! Look like you gotta learn how to crawl! You let them do this to me and get away with it, and you give them the eternal right to do the same damn thing to any one of you!
Walking Tall. It's a deeply moving contemporary film based on the true story of a young man who wouldn't surrender to the system, and the girl who always stood beside him.
You gambled your life.
And he married Rocky Dennis. What do you think of Buford Pusser's wife there? She's a looker, right? Elizabeth Hartman?
I'm looking at her, and it's funny you said that about Mask, because I'm going, what a piece of ass that chick is.
I know, right? I don't know who's hotter, her or Billy Jack's old lady. Remember Billy Jack?
I'm familiar with Billy Jack, not with his mother, but I swear, man, you throw that
Oh,
red
his
hair,
wife.
that natural red hair on a girl and those freckles, and I don't know how old she is there. I'm guessing between 11 and 12, and she's still, going to someday be a very attractive woman, I bet.
Yeah, unfortunately, the actress committed suicide. Oh, well.
And no one has come to say thank you.
Maybe nobody really does give a damn.
It's the picture your neighbors are talking about. It has been called the best American movie of the year. Join the audiences applauding. Walking Tall, rated R.
That's right, they are applauding. Now, being in Tennessee, this must be all anyone ever talks about for the last 50 years. Right? Am I right?
It's pretty much that, and Elvis, I love
Elvis? Who's that?
Well, Elvis Presley, he's a rock and roll singer. Not that important, he's basically ripped off Chuck Berry. But that guy right there, Buford Pusser, what's in a name? I guess a rose by any other name would smell as sweet, but I don't want to get a big whiff of Buford Pusser.
Are you a fan of the motion picture? Walking Tall, 1973?
Walking Tall, hey, look, someone said it was the best American film of that year. I don't know if that's true or not.
Big hit.
But
Big hit.
Yeah. Hey, look, I think I'm probably a big fan of what the movie's about. I can't tell you that I've actually seen that whole movie.
Oh, okay, all right.
But I'm familiar with the lore,
Reportedly, the movie is like completely fictional, but that's why we go to the movies. Who wants a documentary? spawned a couple sequels, made Joe Don Baker a star. But that's fine. That's a little taste of something from the 70s.
Don't you think when they make a historical movie, it's helpful, though, if it is pretty accurate, you know? Like, I really do want it to be somewhat accurate. Just like I would prefer that a movie be, you know, kind of similar to the book, except in, like, The Shining's case, where, you know, Stephen King made his version, and boy, did that blow.
Okay, so you like the movie better than the book. I read the book as well.
Yeah, I didn't read the book, but I felt like I'd read the book after I watched that miniseries with Steven Weber back.
Wasn't that great? Yeah, and Rebecca De Mornay.
And those great special effects, you know, with the shrubberies like walking and talking and shit. It was absolutely. Instead of an axe, he's got a croquet mallet.
Well, that was faithful to the book. That's what it was in the book. They had the moving animal hedges and a croquet mallet instead of an axe. It was truthful to the source material.
That's exactly right. And I said that's why some movies really need to depart from the source material.
Are you a James Bond guy?
I've seen a few, but you know, not really. I think it's an interesting topic. I think it's an interesting genre. You know, I love the first one, which is the campiest thing you've ever seen. I forget what it's called. Dr. No. That's the one with the. There's one part where he's at a place where they have the danger meter. You know, and you can crank up the danger level at will. You know, if you want it to be more dangerous, you crank up something called the danger level. Which imagine a machine where you turn the lever. It needs to be more dangerous here. And then they developed, of course, you know, into these actual kind of serious movies, and then they got more action oriented in the last few years. I'm a Roger Moore guy myself, but they actually had. I mean, you could turn it up, or down. It seems like you would always keep them on 0, but
I'm sure the filmmakers are happy that you focused on that little detail rather than. Enjoying the movie as a whole, but okay, cool. So we're getting an idea.
I do have an eye for detail, and I do think that there's a subtext in movies sometimes that, you know, is important to take into account. You know, like just like with, like, you know, The Sopranos, that TV series. David Chase wanted to make movies, and he wanted to make each episode like a mini movie, and I think he really succeeded. You know, I mean, every episode will kind of end in some kind of interesting way, you know, a funny way or a poetic maybe, but it ends up the whole thing played out so well. The subtext in that, the more I watch it, the more I realize how funny a lot of these lines are and situations are, that they weren't really necessarily intended. I mean, they were intended to be funny, but I didn't notice them the first 4 times I watched the series.
Any other TV shows before we get off TV and back on movies? Like The Walking Dead?
I did enjoy The Walking Dead to a point, and I guess I kind of ran out of steam on that one. I stopped being it. Didn't they do it like they started messing it up? Like they'd start the way they paced the seasons. After a while, the episodes. You'd have one episode that was all about one thing, and then you'd have to wait like 3 more episodes before you got the next part of that.
Stretch it out,
yeah. It just turned into a weird thing. But it was in the first episode of that is great. You know, if we're talking zombies, the first few minutes of that zombie movie, I guess it was.
Don't say 28 Days Later.
No. Okay. It was before that. I don't think I saw that one. It was. I guess it was the remake of Dawn of the Dead.
Oh, no. Okay, go ahead.
With the very fast zombies, you know.
Oh, no, sprinting zombies. Boo. Boo, Pat.
The first 10 minutes of that movie, though, is fucking wildly good. Wildly good.
A lot of people like it. Yeah, no, I mean, call me a traditionalist there. I prefer the original Dawn of the Dead. I prefer the original Dawn of the Dead to The Walking Dead. I got maybe 4 or 5 seasons in. I think George Romero got this done in 2 hours and, 8 minutes. They had some good ideas, but yeah, a lot of irritating characters. That kid, the Oriental fella who had that hot chick, that bugged me. But yeah, at least the zombies weren't sprinting. Okay, so you're a Zack Snyder zombie fan.
I don't know who Zack Snyder is. But
that's the guy who directed the remake of Dawn of the Dead. I hate all of his movies.
Look, I mean, I don't think you can really put anything up against George Romero's stuff. I mean, it's not to do that. He was the one who came along and made that a whole genre. He changed movies forever, you know, and especially I think it's like the last one in the mall. Isn't that the last one in the mall?
No, that's the second one.
It's the second one.
Yeah, that was
a really good violent movie, you know.
Really,
unrated, really fun. Yeah, fantastic. I do appreciate that.
and a low budget with no stars, just pure imagination and resourceful filmmaking. That's what can be accomplished with imagination and skill. You don't necessarily need a whole lot of money.
I think that
Yeah.
I'd rather have something that feels real, that has a rhythm that's real, and that looks as if it has real people in it for sure.
Yeah, like they really put in the work.
And
All
then
right,
the thing
yeah.
is, like, how good can a movie look? The Tim Burton shit, you know? Like, I'm not at the
Fuck that
museum.
guy.
Yeah. Boring. Everything he did was a bore. And with the exception of maybe one or two movies. Edward Scissorhands, I guess you can enjoy on a level, but I was a kid when that came out.
Yeah, work with a different leading man, for crying out loud. What do you do, 20 films with fucking Johnny Depp, who ain't the greatest actor? Hey, you like them Johnny Depp pirate movies, huh?
Never seen one.
Hey, how about this guy? You like this guy?
Colin Farrell is awesome.
Ooh, yeah, he is. That's from a show we did earlier in the week.
Colin Farrell is awesome.
Colin Farrell
is awesome.
He's okay. I just don't care for some of the movies he was cast in. Yeah, I don't blame him as so much as the movies.
It's who was the guy that was in that Jonestown? Not Jonestown. What am I saying? Georgetown. You know what was the one with the settlement where they ate everybody? I forget what that was called. I found the movie. It's called The New World, 2005.
Oh, that is Colin Farrell, but that's not okay. But they're not. Were they cannibalistic in that?
Well,
that
says it depicts the founding of the Jamestown, Virginia settlement, inspired by the historical figures Captain John Smith, Pocahontas, all that stuff.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah,
It's a Terrence Malick movie. Terrence Malick directed it.
So it is. There's no cannibalism in it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
it was an interesting movie. It didn't grab me, but I mean, you could tell they put a lot of work into it.
I'm one of these people who has the most boring sort of like you start asking me about actors. It's going to be the same as everybody else. Gene Hackman. And
well, I was going to ask you about it. Okay, yeah, continue. Gene Hackman, sure.
Clint Eastwood, Jack Nicholson. These are those. You might as well say I really like the 9 planets of the solar system or some shit like that. It's like the answers are just already there. As far as obscure actors, I mean, like I don't even know if I know any. Steve Buscemi is a great actor, but I think Brad Pitt is a pretty fucking good actor sometimes.
Yeah.
Great in True Romance.
Yeah, agree.
And who doesn't like the one everybody does, the impression
Walken,
of...
yeah.
Walken, yeah, right.
Yeah, he, like Nicholson, eventually became a cliche of himself, and not so much their fault. It's just, hey, after The Shining, right? Nicholson, remember how vibrant he was in 5 Easy Pieces in Chinatown, The Last Detail and Cuckoo's Nest? But after The Shining, he became a parody of himself. So it's like, I got an idea. Let's cast Jack Nicholson as the Joker. Oh, I got an idea. Let's cast Jack Nicholson as the Devil.
Yeah.
Ooh, let's cast Jack Nicholson as the President. Right?
That's when you made it. You're just playing
Tim Burton
yourself.
movie.
You're a true, Mars Attacks. You're a 100% true movie star at that point. I mean, you were the guy. You're there. You're the reason why the movie's there.
Here's your Buscemi here.
Fuck all that.
Got that ready for you there. What kind of cinema sirens really get your blood pumping? Hot chicks and stuff. What do you like? The retro babes like Raquel Welch and the like. They're a new crop of broads with big jugs on them or something that gets you excited.
She's more TV, but Suzanne Somers, I thought, was really
interesting. Okay,
she's really a hot woman, just a really sexy woman. There's that red-haired girl. She was in. I mean, this is terrible to fucking like Natasha Lyonne. I thought Natasha Lyonne was a real hot, sexy girl, and I like redheads too. So
yeah, me too.
She checks a lot of boxes.
Big jugs on her.
Like to check her box.
All right, cool. You're not gay. What'd you watch growing up, Pat? What movies did you watch? Go to the cinema? Did you go to cinema much? Were you just
first movie I went to was Food of the Gods.
Based on the H.G. Wells story, directed by Burt I. Gordon, starring Marjo Gortner. I have never seen that movie. I've seen parts of it, and I've seen all the other eco-horror movies. That's the genre that it falls under, eco-horror.
Yes.
Giant bats or giant rats or big frogs and stuff. Okay,
Very
continue.
often
Food of the
because
Gods.
Some nuclear fallout or something like that.
Empire of the Ants. Yeah. Did you like it, Food of the Gods?
God, I was terrified when I was a kid, but now I look at it and I'm like, this is great. It's great. It's a really fun movie. It's rabbits and shit, squirrels, rats, that kind of stuff. The last movie I watched that was like that, I guess it would be an echo horror, was Kingdom of the Spiders.
Great movie, Bill Shatner. That's going to come up on this show pretty soon. One of our guests wanted to discuss it here. It gets the job done. I mean, it delivers the chills and stuff. It's not as corny as some films of its ilk.
It's great though. The scene where she's, the spiders are backing her into a corner and she's firing a pistol at the spider.
Oh yeah, the black chick. I think that's
Yeah.
Woody Strode's wife in the movie.
It's just so fucking perfect. The crop duster guy.
Yeah.
Just you're perfect. It's a central casting. Send over a crazy biplane guy.
They're all in his lap. He crashes the plane.
It really makes you yeah. It is. I'm trying to think of the other movies I saw when I was a kid. Rocky 2 as a kid. Now I recognize Rocky is one of the all-time great movies. Rocky 2 is not, but that's what I saw when I was a kid. It was the first one of those that I saw as a kid.
It's just kind of a rehash. It's well made, but it's just kind of a rehash. But yeah, it's still
it doesn't have quite the same heart and stuff like that. Now the Jaws movies, I've often cited as my favorite movie, and I each and every one of the Jaws movies, with the exception of Jaws 2. I don't love Jaws 2.
So you like Jaws: The Revenge better than Jaws 2? That's correct.
I do.
Yeah,
I do, because it's fucking absurd. It's so absurd and so great. Jaws 3 is like, Jaws Revenge is a fantasy land. It's just complete nonsense. But Jaws 3, it's basically a comedy. Lou Gossett chewing up the scenery in every scene that he's in. The sharks growling, that's the first time they actually growl in a movie.
No, I think the shark growled in Jaws: The Revenge because people talk about that.
But that was last.
That was the last one. Yeah, that's one we just saw here. That's Jaws: The Revenge.
But they growled in 3 as well.
I don't think so.
You don't think they growled? I'm pretty sure they. Anyway,
sometimes they'll put in like a guttural dinosaur sound. Just like every time they show a snake on screen, there's got to be a rattle sound, even though they don't all have rattles.
Yeah,
sound guys just ruin movies. I've talked about that on the show before here. Anytime a cat walks by, you got to hear ew. Anytime a bicycle goes by, you got to hear ding 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 ding.
Yeah.
There's nothing that happens on screen that they won't put a sound to. They think the movie is all about them. Now, if you get a strong director, tell them knock that shit off. It's fine. But most of the time, they have the run of it, and most people don't care about it. Guns making all these unnecessary clicks and shit, even though they're not pulling the hammer back, stuff like that. Yeah, don't get me started on fucking sound designers.
Yeah, gun noise. How do you feel about Heaven's Gate?
I like it. I have it on the shelf. I have the Criterion edition. How do you feel about it?
Well, if you have the Criterion edition, then you probably have the version that it doesn't have that yellow wash across it and stuff like that. Did they clean up the look? Because one of the criticisms at the time was that it's so dusty you can't see anything, and they wasted all this money on a movie you can't see.
Yeah, the story behind the making of the movie is more interesting than the movie.
Kind of.
Yeah, it came out after The Deer Hunter, the same director, Michael Cimino. That film wins Best Picture, and the studio says, yeah, give us another one. And, I got the book over here. It's called Final Cut, about the making of that and all the ridiculous cost overruns and stuff that just went way out of control. And he put a studio out of business. He put United Artists out of business. It went like $40 million for a Western in 1980. And it's not on the screen. I don't care how much a movie costs, because as a ticket buyer, we don't have to pay for it. We just got to pay for our ticket,
Yeah.
But yeah, when they just spend that much money and it doesn't show up on the screen, it's like, well, that's a mistake.
That might be an interesting way to go with movies. What if they charged according to how much the movie cost? And
right. Interesting idea. Heaven's Gate. Only problem, I don't mind a long movie. I love an epic. And Chris Christopherson, I like in other movies, but he doesn't thrill me in that. Christopher Walken's in it, your boy.
Yeah.
And he's good wearing his eyeliner, his black eyeliner as the villain. But it just was not nearly as good as The Deer Hunter. But I'm glad you brought it up. I love talking about Heaven's Gate.
Yeah. I look, that movie is not one that I've sat all the way through myself. I just remember
it's about 3 hours and 40 minutes.
I was in like 7th grade, and that movie came out, 7th, 8th grade.
1980, it came out in 80.
And they were just like, whoa, this is fucked up. All the critics hated it. There was so much money in it, and it's like the most high-priced, biggest bomb. It was kind of like it was the movie that you used as an example for that. Maybe it still is. There's
There's
probably been worse ones since then.
It was
but
one of them. Yeah. Well, there's other examples of that where the budget just went out of control because nobody was overseeing them. And this was like at the end of the 70s when all of a sudden we had all these auteurs like Scorsese and Coppola and Billy Friedkin and Bogdanovich. And the studio says, here, go make a movie. You guys are all the kids are going to see your movies, all those big budget musicals that cost so much and don't earn any money. They had the run of the town. And that's what resulted. All of a sudden, the auteur, they let them get away with everything, Cimino, and it killed the studio. And that's when they cut it all off. And that's when we got the 80s, the PG-13 MTV video game 80s, a shit decade for movie overall. Let me give you another example here. In 1980, you ever see the Robert Altman movie Popeye, starring Robin Williams?
Yeah.
That was another big budget disaster, not nearly on the scale of Heaven's Gate, but yeah,
there must have been some good movies in the 80s.
Yeah, there were.
Was very concerned about the Soviets, the Russians, and
Red Dawn.
Red Dawn. One of the Rocky movies, and
Rocky
like
4, 1985.
It seemed like the Russians were often the villains.
It was Cold War, man. Yeah, in the Reagan era Cold War, absolutely.
But there's some interesting things. Which is the one? And now look, man, I'm sorry to be like, I'm not to speak with the same authority you do with movies, but the one where the guy puts on the glasses and everything changes.
They Live.
The
John Carpenter movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now that's like not a lot of money. Great movie. Halloween.
Well, Halloween is another example of the kids taking over Hollywood there with no money. The movie earned like a dozen times its budget. I can still enjoy it to this day, but it will never match the impact of that first time in the theater. That movie had scares and frights.
Yeah.
And then bodies start falling out overhead and shit, and Michael Myers popping up
Michael
behind.
Myers is the greatest, I mean, Jason's fine, but I mean, I think Michael Myers really had that just like a really evil kind of feel to him.
I brought this up before. The first one, then it's distinctive. But all the sequels, he's just another Jason. It's just another guy in a mask hacking up people. The beautiful gimmick of that movie is that he did this thing and disappeared. But then Halloween 2 comes out and says, oh, no, he just went down the street and started killing more people. Yeah, that's all. It ruined it. It made it routine. So I don't watch the sequels. But
they tried to change it up then with like, oh, no, that was Jason who was in New York. So forget it. Like... But now you mentioned the 80s being the worst. The 70s, I probably venture to say about the best, right? Because like what you said, you had the
auteurs.
The auteurs, Hal Ashby.
Hal Ashby, good name there. And these guys were doing it, and then of course here comes Spielberg and Lucas and create the blockbuster.
Yeah, and that was sort of the beginning of the end. And then, like you said, Heaven's Gate slammed the door shut.
Yeah.
But, like, what did you think of Sam Peckinpah's Straw Dogs?
I have all the Peckinpah movies. It's very good. What do you think of Straw Dogs?
Makes you uncomfortable, I think, and that's the idea of the rising tension, the building tension. And the thing about there's the so-called rape scene, which I think is just a lady getting fucked scene. It doesn't strike me as a rape scene, and that's like I guess that's supposed to be controversial or whatever.
It created controversy because she became accepting of her rapist, and feminists at the time, you know how they are, Pat. They didn't care for that, but it was an artistic choice. So continue.
So and it's also a very real thing, I'm sure. In a situation like that, it's not like she doesn't know this guy. It's not like her husband isn't a math nerd. It's not like she feels like the guy's not protecting her properly, and that's evidenced by the fact that this guy has access to this woman. So I mean, on a primal level, that is who she would gravitate towards, and she seems a little shallow, so she just kind of went to where she was supposed to go.
That's the complexity of the movie. You've stated it perfectly. Yeah, that's what makes it something worthy of discussion after you see it. It sticks with you. It makes you uncomfortable there. It challenges the viewer. And that's another thing that went away later on. They didn't want to challenge viewers. They wanted to pass out comment cards at screening and get all A+. And if they didn't, they'd re-edit the whole movie without the director's input and stuff like that. Everything had to be cookie cutter assembly line. I mean, they had a lot of money at stake. I understand it's a business, but
you got to trust the people you've hired to do the work.
Yes, unless it's Chimino.
I mean, unless it's
That's what you see. That's where it went wrong.
Imagine if they started making, and maybe they did for all I know, but I doubt it. Major changes to like The Exorcist. When it.
I know.
I know that they blew it up somewhat. But it was hugely controversial and hugely influential. And I don't know how many people actually used those barf bags they handed out. But I'm sure that there were more people throwing up as a result of those bags being there than there were from the movie, in a way.
Yeah, it was a phenomenon, and to tackle that subject matter and have it come out that good, and be the same guy who made The French Connection 2 years earlier. As awesome as that was, you're a Hackman fan. I know you love The French Connection.
Look, I mean, you got to take it for what it is. It doesn't do everything that you want a movie to do in some places. And the car chase is great. But I just love the you picked your feet in Poughkeepsie. Picking your feet in Poughkeepsie part. It's a great character part. Gene Hackman really struggled with that character because. He didn't want to be a racist or whatever, and so he couldn't
big liberal,
really, get into that kind of mindset. But which is weird because I love him as a liberal, and I love him as a liberal in Unforgiven because you hate his fucking guts. You're right.
You think his character is a liberal? That guy's a vicious bastard. They'd call him a
Little Bill,
hard right-leaning guy.
Little Bill, yeah. He's an absolute
Duck, I says.
Raging liberal. Liberal.
Explain that. I'm
right,
curious.
Well, people come into town, and he's like, got to take your firearm there.
That's right.
So they're taking away the guns.
Oh, confiscating the guns. Okay. But he's hard on crime, though.
But he gets to have one.
Yeah.
He's not that hard on crime. Not when a woman gets all cut up. He's like, all right, give him 10 horses there. And they're outraged.
Does that make him a sexist, though? Yeah, okay. It's a complex discussion there. That's the challenge.
The people kind of hate it. They're like, what the, they're up in arms. They have to hire illegal killers to come in, to go and kill this guy, take the law into their own hands, vigilante shit, instead of, and meanwhile, he's jacking off, building the world's shittiest house. But when he gets somebody when it kills the one character, props him up dead, completely tasteless. Ned. Yes, Ned. Yeah, I think I saw him as a representative of the far left.
Fair enough. Great movie, man. And that it came out that good, because Eastwood was always fine. His movies were entertaining, but every time he did one of these characters, it was always mythical. He was a superhero. You'd know he'd shoot 3 guys before they could pull their guns out and stuff. And that was fun for a little while. But, by the time Pale Rider came out in 1985, it's like, okay, here we go again. He's a Superman. There's really not much complexity there. So to have that movie come out and he's like a regular guy and he gives a real performance instead of just, talking like this all the time. And to cast strong actors opposite him. The story goes that after Thunderbolt and Lightfoot, directed by Michael Cimino before The Deer Hunter, in which he co-starred with Jeff Bridges. Jeff Bridges got an Oscar nomination for Thunderbolt and Lightfoot. After that, you don't see so many promising, brash new talent beside him. It's like the same group of, okay actors, but no one who's going to upstage Eastwood. Have you seen Thunderbolt and Lightfoot?
I have, no, but I've seen those Every Which Way But Loose and Any Which Way You Can movies.
The monkey movies? Yeah, sure.
And with I can see what you mean. I don't think, not that anybody would be nominated for an Oscar in either one of those, but
Ruth Gordon, maybe. Harold and Maude, Hal Ashby.
I mean, you had Sandra Locke, and I don't know the actor's name, the character actor's name. It plays his friend in both those. He was also in Salem's Lot.
Go fuck a duck.
Is Jeffrey Lewis. That's from Thunderbolt and Lightfoot.
Awesome. Oh, he's in that. Okay, great. Yeah.
Him and George Kennedy.
George Kennedy's great, too.
He's great.
Yeah, I love that style of movie. It's like a One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest type movie, but Cool Hand Luke, of course, George Kennedy.
Yeah.
Where you have like this guy takes on the system. Ultimately, he gets killed, but you can't crush his spirit, and that's where it is. People think that the end of what do you think of the ending of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest?
I think the ending is terrific. I remember reading the book. I don't know if you read the novel, but it's quite a bit different. It's from the chief's point of view. He's the one having hallucinations and stuff like that. I've mentioned this, I think, on an earlier show just a couple weeks ago, but I've done a 180 on Cuckoo's Nest because at the time, it was counterculture. It's like, yeah, man, he's going to go in and shake things up. Why do all these people have to be kept inside? They should be out on a fishing boat, man. But nobody got dead in the institution until McMurphy showed up. Then Billy Bibbit got dead, and McMurphy himself. Nurse Ratched ran a tidy little sanitarium there. They got their exercise. They got their medication, nice music. They got to play cards, go into the hydrotherapy.
Mm-hmm.
When Murphy comes in and everything goes to hell. So I've done a 180. I guess it comes with being age. It comes with age, right?
Well, I'm older than you, I think. And what I've come to now is that it's not so much about coming in and shaking things up. It's being a human man against an institution. All
right.
And when I say an institution, I'm talking about an institution that's like, legally grinding people into and also there's a very like feminine aspect to it. Men being ground down by feminist type shit. Men being ground down by this overbearing maternalism, so it was a little predictive in that way. I mean, this Billy Bibbit kid was just a product of his mom over-mothering him and fucking ruining his life. He never even got laid. Are they even really living in there? You got a guy in there who's...
well, we don't want him on the street, Pat. That's the thing. See, nowadays, all these freaks are running loose. Well, I want them locked up like they were in Cuckoo's Nest, and I want Nurse Ratched on the ward.
Well,
so you still think that Nurse Ratched is a villain to this day?
She's an absolute one of the worst villains. She's up there with Darth Vader. Let me go further. It's about crushing spirits, right? So why is she so down on McMurphy? It's not because he's like such a bad guy.
Because he's a disruption. Like I said, everything's running smoothly until he shows up. That's why she's down on him.
Well, she's down on him because he represents masculinity. He represents, freedom, and we have in this country freedom. There's a reason they made the chief a Native American, right? Because he represents that, don't think of it as American Indian, but think of it as like people born here, American culture as it existed at one time.
Yeah.
Like that. And there's a quality to the movie where they're just trying to snuff the life out of this guy. What they wanted to do was break him. So it's about breaking a human spirit more than it is about reforming convicts or anything like that. I mean, it turns out at the end, most of the people there were voluntary anyway. Yeah. They came into the institution on their own. So you have to look at it outside of
which means they liked it okay. Nice place to hang out.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Unless you're a baseball fan.
But then they sat around bitching about it, They said,
they're mentally ill.
But they're not
crazy.
But they're not.
Yeah,
it's like you said, no crazier than the average asshole on the street. Billy Bibbit, he didn't need to be in there. Or that faggot with the wife, that I feel peculiar, and all that shit.
Yeah.
And then there was Tabor, who was committed. He was committed. He had to be there.
Right.
So the people who are hardcore committed, you go, yeah, sure. I mean, I think probably Danny DeVito's character, that Santini or whatever.
I bet a dime. Martini, yeah. I bet a dime.
I bet a dime. I bet a nickel. Yeah, you rip it in half, you don't get 2 nickels, you get shit.
You get shit. And yeah, like you mentioned, Cool Hand Luke, there are similarities there. And yeah, I used to be, man, this guy ain't going to bend for nothing, man. Nobody's going to break him. I watch it now. It's like, man, this poor son of a bitch. He's got PTSD from the war. He's got this self-destructive nature that's going to be the end of him, and it is.
He's an alcoholic, as would seem.
Cool Hand Luke. No, he only gets drunk at the beginning. There, that's why he gets arrested.
He can't really get drunk for the rest of the movie. He's in the prison.
Yeah, soda pop there.
But think of it this way: like at the end of One Flew Over the Cuckoo. Okay. They both find their way into these institutions through pretty innocuous fucking, Jack Nicholson in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest is trying to, what?
Statutory rape.
He's trying to, you got that little red beaver dog.
Right
no man alive can resist that. But he says, that nurse a bit of a cunt, ain't she? You know, and she is a bit of a cunt.
He likes a rigged game.
But they both find their way into that institution. Like he's trying to get in there just because he's lazy, basically.
Yeah.
Like, you know, too much
want to
fighting or
work
fucking
detail.
or whatever. Yeah, he's trying to get out of his work detail. So he thinks he gets released once he's in it. But no, if you're committed, you know, you go when they tell you you're going. And then he's like, shit. So now he's really fucked, but he's in the institution at that point. So to think of the institution as like it's more of like a microcosm for America itself or something, you know, the inside, the outside, inside the institution, outside the institution's the freedom that he finds at the end of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Because they don't break him. They have to like fucking cut his brain up.
Give him a lobotomy, yeah.
They have to, so.
Hey, they warned him. They even gave him the electroshock, but it didn't take. It didn't take.
Yeah, that's right.
Next
They
girl
gave him
that
a
takes me on
lobotomy.
is going to light up like a pinball machine and pay off in silver dollars.
That's a very amusing thought, Randall. But and then same way in Cool Hand Luke, he's cutting the heads off parking meters. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, that ain't murder. That's not a capital crime. But he still winds up, you know, giving his life.
Drunken, disorderly, and property destruction. I think they piled a bunch of charges on him for that. Yeah,
and people are not. I think in my mind, the theme of these movies are we're not really supposed to be governed by so damn much red tape and so many laws and such a politicized environment. And with you know every part of your life should not be micromanaged by government. It basically is just like less government and stuff like that. You know, that's the way I look at it. I mean, they both could not be broken by this institution. They both, you know. It's like that dumb John Cougar song, I fight authority, authority always wins. Yeah.
So you're a champion of the human spirit. That's what you're saying. I get what you're saying, yeah.
I'd like to see a lot more people getting locked up, don't get me wrong. I mean, I punched a guy, and I had to go fucking turn myself in for it. Drive 1,300 miles, you know, to like go, yes, I did this. And once you're in court, man, they can bring you back. So I drove back up from Tennessee like 6 times dealing with
my God.
all these, like, you know, adjournment or whatever you call it, you know, continuance and all that.
Yeah.
Just you know, you go there and you listen to the deal and you go, no, I'm not going to go to Rikers for fucking 364 days because I punched a guy. You know, I'm just not.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Well, that gives
so
you.
Look, and when you say like, you know, you as you get older, you get more mellow. It's not like I'm doing anything about it. You know what I mean? I'm not. I hate protesters more than anything. I can't stand them. I don't care. Like, you know, when I started hating protesters is when they protested up in Michigan at the governor's place, you know, during COVID.
Yeah.
Bunch of conservatives. And then not to mention fucking January 6th, protests are only allowed to go one way. And they get totally out of hand on the left and the right. Forget it. You can't do shit. They'll close it down. So now I just go ahead and say I hate protesters.
It's a rigged game.
It is.
And all these clips of people asking the protesters, all right, tell us about your cause, you know. Share with us. Maybe educate us a little bit. And they don't know what the hell they're doing. They just want to be out there stirring things up. Somebody got in their ear. They're already slanted mentally in a certain direction there. They're not going to listen to logic or reason or have compassion or anything. That's where they lose me. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with protesting per se. I mean, there's a lot of things in this country that call for it. But yeah, there's a proper way to do it. That's an effective way to do it to get people on your side.
You can only do it on the left, you know. I mean, on the right, forget it. You can't. They won't allow you to. It's like, yeah, here's your freedom of speech zone, you know, and they put you in a cage or something. And I bet you all those leftist people that you asked them, what are you protesting? They would give up the whole protest if you'd give them a good job at the fucking TSA.
Yeah.
So they can just wand people all day and decide who gets to get on the plane. Hollywood and politics are linked more and more all the time. You know, show business, politics. I swear to God, you can't tell the difference sometimes.
It's true.
It's the Dame Taft Movie Show, hosted by my nephew, Screww.